その願い、この宿が確かに聞き届けた。
But today, let's step things up a bit now, shall we? Because today we're talking about no mere mortals here. In this video, we're counting down some of the most overpowered god characters in anime. Literal gods, mind you, not just overpowered guys who get tagged gods as a meme. Trust me, there are loads of them, and here are some of my favorites that I'd like to share with you. But before we move on, I'd like to thank today's sponsors, Gemstone Legends. If you're someone who craves for those good old match 3 puzzle games, here's a free-to-play game that ought to satisfy all of those cravings. Gemstone Legends is a very fun mobile puzzle RPG with a modernized twist. It's more than just a puzzle game. This is a game that brings you the best of both worlds, as it plays both as a strategy game and a callback to the old school RPGs of your childhood years. As you can see, the game's big selling point for me is just how much of an RPG it is. You can choose your favorite heroes from the main clans available and learn the playstyles associated with them. The heroes can be upgraded all the way to 6 stars, and each one comes with his or her own perks. It's a mastery of the heroes and the various dragons available that will pave the way to victory. Yes, there are dragons in this game too. The dragons are there to support you and provide various buffs, opening the ways to even more dynamic strategies for all players. In contrast to some of the puzzle games like this, Gemstone Legends has a very strong multiplayer integration. You and your opponent use the same board, and it's up to your strategies and masterful usage of the special abilities at your disposal to make you come out on top. The multiplayer integration doesn't stop there. Do you know that you can also form guilds with other players, team up with the greatest teammates and defeat those mighty raid bosses? Such an interesting twist on a beloved genre, right? Download Gemstone Legends from the link in the description. Enter promo code #Vinny# in the game chat within 3 hours for additional rewards. Take hold of your destiny and become the greatest hero in the world. Now, without further ado, let's get started with the list. Starting off, we have everyone's favorite 5-penny god, Yato.
豊足原の中津くん、荒びたらせぬかの者よ。反旗を持って砕き伏せ、ふさぐさの触り汚れを打ち払わん。
Now, this is a rather tame opening. While I wouldn't personally consider Yato the definition of overpowered, I think that he's got more in the tank than that conceited and easygoing attitude might suggest. Yeah, he seems out of shape now in terms of being overpowered, but Yato himself has more than enough experience in the field of combat. Once a god of calamity, Yato has since retired from such a fearsome reputation. He may seem washed up now, and compared to his previous incarnation, he sure is. However, he's nowhere near weak. He's far from it, in fact. He's also pretty cool for being a master swordsman, something that you don't immediately associate with a god character. He fights with his trusty sword and his signature move, Rend, that allows him to sever spiritual connections. A master at magic and physical combat, Yato I feel definitely belongs in this list.
Zan.
2000万ボルト
Let's continue with a bang now, shall we? And by bang, I mean one with the roaring clap of thunder as NL storms his way into the list. The ruler of Skypiea and the main antagonist of that arc, NL can fool a lot with his lanky build. It takes a lot to be the ruler of Skypiea, right? But I won't be surprised if he didn't stick out as a god, but boy, is he one overpowered being who deserves every bit of the god label. He certainly thinks so too, and his haughtiness knows no bounds. He then backs that up with immense physical strength and earth-shattering lightning powers thanks to his devil fruit. Overall, I think that NL is quite the overpowered god, alright. Luffy just had a good matchup, but he's a lot stronger than he may seem. Coming up next is Jin Mori. Is this a spoiler? I mean, I guess so, but I don't think random anime fans are still scrambling to watch God of High School these days, and I think that most existing fans already know some cool trivia about the show, such as Jin Mori's true identity. Then again, given what he showcased in the anime, I think that anything less than a god just wouldn't make sense now, would it? Let's see. Besides his unique techniques, Jin has showed off physical abilities that are just beyond human. Just look at his strength, speed, and endurance. Those don't seem normal, and that's saying a lot considering how crazy the power scaling in God of High School can get. Watch him take those powers up to 11 when he finally transforms and shows us his true form. Kaguya comes in as the next god on the list. Yes, I'm aware that I spent a lot of time on the recent list talking about Madara. Hey, with how overpowered he is, I think that Madara deserves to be auto-included in some of these. But today, we'll talk about the one character who one-ups him and takes his place as the actual final villain of Naruto. To be fair, Kaguya does have the pedigree to be the final villain. After all, this godlike being is the originator of chakra on Earth. Oh, and like a certain god that we'll be talking about very soon, Kaguya is a mother of a powerful being. In this case, Hagoromo, the Sage of the Six Paths. And she shows off her mettle in the final battle, giving Team 7 all they can handle before finally being defeated. She may not have as much screen time as Madara, but she's definitely on par with him in terms of combat strength. The anime also does a nice thing of adding more Kaguya backstory compared to the manga, so if you're interested in knowing more about her, go for the anime instead of the manga. Tiamat has terrorized the world in the past, and she's come back to do so once again. Fate Grand Order's Babylonia arc's ultimate villain is none other than Tiamat. For those who know their ancient mythology, we really mean the primordial goddess of the seas and the mother of all subsequent gods. It's that Tiamat who's been teased ever since the start of the Babylonia arc, and she soon emerges to show us the destruction and horror that only an angry god can bring. Tanking noble phantasms left and right, Tiamat just provides the perfect challenges for our heroes who spent episodes on end desperately buying time. Even when Tiamat was weakened enough to be in a position to be beaten, they still barely pulled through in a win that can be called a fluke. And that's due to so much help from all sorts of allies. Tiamat does serve as the perfect final boss before the end of Fate Grand Order's epic story, the first part at least. We move on to the next god on the list now, Aizen. Aizen is a cool example because we get to see his development from powerful Shinigami to godhood in the Bleach anime. I know there's a joke going around that Aizen's the real main character of Bleach and all, but with the focus given on him and his journey, is that really big of a joke? He sure lived up to the billing. He's practically become invincible, and not even Ichigo's strongest moves can finish him off despite him taking L after L in that battle. He's so powerful that he can only be sealed. With the new Bleach anime looming on the horizon, will we get to see Aizen unleashed once more? Tune in to find out. With a list of villains and overpowered protagonists we've showcased so far, Madoka may seem to be a step down, but don't underestimate her by appearance alone. If you thought that Aizen had a big leap into godhood, what more for Madoka, who went from a completely ordinary and helpless girl to ascending to another plane and pretty much becoming a concept. In contrast to Aizen, who felt like a main character despite not being one, Madoka was the opposite. She's the titular girl who gets shown in all those magical girl outfits in the opening, but the plot rarely revolved around her, it seems. Still, it was her transcendental wish that finally put an end to the unstoppable Walpurgis Night and saving the world, both the past and the future. Oh, and the original episode of her ascension to godhood aired right around the Catholic Holy Week, so while coincidental, it's still quite an amusing piece of trivia to have. Next we go back to high school with Haruhi Suzumiya. Once again we go from godly overpowered to whimsical. Still, there's little denying the charisma of one of the most influential characters in the 2000s. The leader of the SOS Brigade gets placed this high on the list simply due to legacy. Or is it? I mean, Haruhi's a reality warper, and that's probably as broken and overpowered as gods can get, right? Among the gods here that mostly aim to wow us with their power and feats, Haruhi feels more down to earth in perspective, kinda like Madoka, except very, very eccentric and proactive with whatever craziness she has in her mind. Poor Kyon, right? Her adventures with the SOS Brigade have caught the hearts of more than its fair share of anime fans back in the day, and some veterans still fondly look back to those old days. It's been so long since I've heard of anyone mentioning Tenchi Muyo, so I don't blame anyone for not knowing who Kami Tenchi is. For those who haven't watched it, I guess this also acts as a recommendation of sorts if you enjoy watching god characters in action. It's quite a hot debate before about Kami Tenchi being the most powerful character in anime, all of anime, so that includes the likes of other universes. That can be debated, and if those of you who've watched Tenchi Muyo agree or disagree with this, let me know in the comments below. Whatever the answer to that is, there's no question that Kami Tenchi is the pinnacle of power in the Tenchi Muyo universe. Lighthawk's wings creations, anyone? He also effortlessly stopped the incarnation of the world's forces to counteract the other gods by himself. Definitely a candidate for most broken character in all of anime. Finally, we finish the list with a bang as we take a look at Zeno from Dragon Ball Super. Huh? Is it really a surprise that we end with a Dragon Ball character? How could we talk about a list of my favorite gods without going through the entire roster of overpowered beasts that the Dragon Ball universe has? Somewhere in the anime featuring Goku and his simply broken peers is this unassuming guy. You're telling me that this is the ruler of the multiverse? Appearances can be deceiving. As if that list hasn't already driven that point home yet. Yes, Zeno is indeed the strongest being in the universe. The strongest being in the universe of a series full of explosions and fireworks and world-shattering fights is a being who doesn't fight. However, Zeno possesses a far more devastating ability than the best fighting skills or the most destructive techniques known in the world, and that's the ability to just erase things out of existence. Universes have outright been erased due to Zeno's abilities, and it's accurate to say that the ability has the highest kill count in the series. 10 gods above them all. That more or less wraps up my showcase of my favorite anime gods. Now it's your turn to share your top 10 gods list, and I'll be waiting in the comments section. Special thanks to Zodiac15 and all other Patreons for making this video possible. Don't forget to check out our sponsors game, Gemstone Legends. Links in the description. That's going to be it for today, and I hope to see you in the next video that I'm going to upload. Take care and have a good day.